Set out on the path, and the path will reveal itself. Rumi. You think you need to see the whole road before you take the first step, but the truth is far more intimate and far more demanding. The road does not appear to observers, it appears to travelers. My friend, this single sentence carries an ocean within it. It is not advice meant for the mind alone, but a call directed straight to the trembling center of the heart. Rumi did not speak this as a poet decorating language. He spoke it as one who had walked, fallen, burned, and walked again until walking itself became prayer. When Rumi speaks of setting out, he is not talking about geography. He is talking about courage. He is talking about the moment when you stop negotiating with fear. On the Sufi path, waiting for certainty is the greatest illusion. Certainty comes only after movement. This is why the path remains hidden from those who stand still. The heart that says, "I will go once I am ready," never truly goes. Readiness is born from walking, not before it. Rumi's own life bears witness to this truth. Before Shams of Tabriz entered his world, Rumi was already a respected scholar, a jurist, a teacher surrounded by students. From the outside, his path looked complete, yet inwardly something was unfinished. The fire had not yet touched the core. When Shams appeared, it was not comfort that followed, but chaos. Reputation, order, and safety all began to dissolve. This was the moment Rumi truly set out. The path did not explain itself to him in advance. It shattered him first, then revealed itself piece by piece through loss, longing, and love. My friend, the Sufi path does not offer guarantees, it offers transformation. The ego wants a map, a timeline, a clear reward at the end. The soul wants truth, even if truth arrives through fire. This is why Rumi says the path reveals itself only after you begin. Love is not revealed to those who calculate it. God is not discovered by those who demand proof before devotion. The heart must move first. In Sufi understanding, this movement is called intention, niyya. It is the silent decision you make when no one is watching, when even you do not fully understand why you are drawn forward. Intention is the seed of the entire journey. Without it, practices are empty and words are lifeless. With it, even silence becomes worship. Rumi knew that once intention is sincere, unseen help begins to flow. Doors open where walls once stood. Teachers appear. Inner veils thin. This is not magic, it is alignment. Many seekers misunderstand the path and believe it must feel peaceful from the beginning. But the early stages of the journey often feel like disorientation. You step forward, and instead of clarity, you meet confusion. Instead of sweetness, you meet resistance. This is not a sign that you are lost. It is a sign that false supports are being removed. The ego trembles when it no longer controls the narrative. The soul rejoices quietly because it recognizes the direction even when the mind does not. Rumi frequently speaks of this inner chaos as a necessary stage. In the Masnavi, he returns again and again to the idea that what appears as disorder is often divine order in disguise. There is a story where a man complains to God that his life has fallen apart, only to realize later that what fell apart were the chains that bound him. The path does not destroy you, it destroys what you are not. You may ask, how do I know I am truly on the path and not simply lost? The Sufi answer is subtle but precise. Loss that brings humility is guidance. Loss that brings bitterness is resistance. When you move sincerely toward God, even your mistakes educate you. Even your detours refine you. But when you cling to ego, even success becomes a veil. My friend, the modern world trains you to hesitate. It tells you to optimize, to analyze, to protect yourself from uncertainty. Tasawwuf asks the opposite. It asks you to trust what cannot be measured. This does not mean abandoning reason, but placing reason in its proper position. Reason is a lamp, not the sun. It can light a step, but it cannot replace the dawn. Rumi understood that the heart has its own intelligence. He did not reject knowledge, he transcended its limits. This is why he could speak to scholars and shepherds alike. When he says, "The path will reveal itself," he is describing an intimate relationship between effort and grace. You walk, and God responds. You knock, and the door recognizes your hand. On this path, movement does not always look heroic. Sometimes it looks like patience. Sometimes it looks like staying when you want to flee. Sometimes it looks like silence when your ego demands to be heard. These are all forms of walking. The Sufi does not measure progress by spiritual visions, but by changes in character. Are you becoming gentler? Are you less certain of your own superiority? Are you quicker to forgive and slower to judge? These are signs that the path is unfolding beneath your feet. Rumi often used images of water to explain this process. A river does not argue with rocks. It does not ask why the path is blocked. It continues to move, shaping the landscape not through force, but through persistence. My friend, become like water. Let movement be your devotion. Let trust be your method. There is also a deep warning hidden within Rumi's words. Those who refuse to step onto the path often disguise fear as wisdom. They say they are waiting for the right teacher, the right sign, the right moment. But signs appear to those who move, not to those who wait. Teachers emerge when the student is already walking. The universe responds to commitment, not to curiosity. In Sufi psychology, this hesitation is linked to the nafs, the lower self that fears dissolution. The nafs survives on control. It wants guarantees because guarantees preserve identity. But love does not preserve identity, it transforms it. To step onto the path is to risk becoming someone you cannot yet imagine. This is why the ego resists so fiercely. Rumi's own surrender to this transformation was complete. After Shams disappeared, Rumi did not return to his former self. Instead, he allowed longing to become his teacher. His grief became his language. His poetry was born not from comfort, but from burning absence. This is an essential lesson. The path often reveals itself most clearly through what is taken away. Do not think that loss means abandonment. In Sufi understanding, loss is often divine intimacy in a severe form. God removes distractions so that the heart may finally listen. When you set out sincerely, life rearranges itself around your intention. Some doors close because they no longer serve your becoming. Others open quietly, without announcement. My friend, if you feel called to this path, honor that call through action, however small. A sincere prayer whispered at night, a moment of restraint when anger rises, a choice to remember God instead of yourself. These are steps. Do not underestimate them. The path is not revealed all at once because you are not transformed all at once. Revelation follows capacity. As Rumi saw it, the journey toward God is not linear. You circle, you return, you forget, you remember again. But each return is deeper than the last. Each forgetting is shorter. Each remembrance carries more weight. This is the spiral of the soul, and the spiral only begins when you move. So do not wait to feel fearless. Fearlessness is not the absence of fear, but obedience despite it. Step onto the path with your fear intact. Walk with trembling. The ground will still appear beneath you. This is the secret Rumi entrusted to us. The path is loyal to those who are loyal to it. When you walk this path long enough, you begin to notice something subtle yet undeniable. The road outside mirrors the road within. Obstacles appear precisely where inner resistance lives. Ease arrives when surrender replaces struggle. This is why Rumi never separated the outer journey from the inner one. For him, every experience was a teacher, every encounter a message. Nothing was random. Everything was a conversation between the seeker and the divine.
In the Masnavi, Rumi tells many stories where characters complain about their fate, only to discover later that fate was guiding them with hidden mercy. In one famous section from the early volumes, a man runs from what he fears, only to meet it more intensely, while another walks directly into difficulty and finds unexpected relief. Rumi uses these stories to show that avoidance strengthens fear, while movement dissolves it. The path reveals itself not to those who escape discomfort, but to those who pass through it with awareness. My friend, this teaching is especially urgent in modern life. Today, distraction is endless. Noise surrounds you from the moment you wake until the moment you sleep. The ego thrives in this noise because silence threatens its authority. But the Sufi path begins with listening. When you take a step inward, when you choose presence over distraction, the path responds by revealing layers of meaning that were always there, waiting. Rumi believed that the human heart was created with an innate memory of God. This memory is not intellectual, it is existential. You do not remember God with your thoughts, but with your longing. This is why yearning plays such a central role in Sufi teaching. Longing is not weakness, it is evidence. It proves that the soul knows what it has lost. When Rumi says the path reveals itself, he is also saying that remembrance awakens gradually in proportion to your sincerity. There will be moments when you feel alone on this journey. Understand this carefully. Solitude is not abandonment. In Sufi tradition, solitude is often a sign of refinement. When external support fades, inner reliance strengthens. Many of the great Sufi masters passed through periods of isolation, misunderstanding, or even rejection. These were not failures, they were thresholds. Rumi himself endured sharp criticism after his transformation. Those who once praised him withdrew. Those who once followed him turned away. Yet he did not chase approval. He allowed love to become his only orientation. This is a crucial lesson for you, my friend. If you seek validation from people while walking toward God, you will constantly be torn in two directions. The path becomes clear only when your loyalty becomes singular. At a certain stage, the seeker realizes that the path is not leading somewhere new, but returning them to what was always true. You are not becoming divine, you are becoming transparent to the divine. The ego experiences this as annihilation, but the soul experiences it as relief. In Sufi language, this stage is often described as fana, the fading of false identity. It is not disappearance, but alignment.
Rumi never spoke of fana as an abstract concept. He lived it. His words burn because they were forged in lived surrender. He did not speak about love, he was undone by it. And yet, after Fana comes something even more mysterious, Baka, abiding. This is when the seeker returns to the world, not as the same person, but as a vessel shaped by love. The path reveals itself fully, only to those who are willing to return transformed, not withdrawn. This is where many misunderstand the Sufi way. They imagine it as an escape from life. In truth, it is a deeper engagement with life, but without attachment. You work, you love, you speak, you act, yet inwardly you are resting in God. Rumi danced in the marketplace of existence while remaining inwardly still. His turning was not escape, but remembrance in motion. My friend, you may wonder how to know whether your steps are sincere. The sign is not spiritual excitement, but responsibility. As you walk, you become more accountable for your inner states. You stop blaming circumstances and start observing your reactions. Anger becomes a teacher. Jealousy becomes a mirror. Fear becomes an invitation. The path reveals itself through self-knowledge, and self-knowledge leads inevitably to God-knowledge. Rumi often reminds us that the greatest veil between the seeker and God is not sin, but arrogance. A sinner who knows they are broken is closer to truth than a worshiper who is proud of their obedience. This is why humility is not optional on this path. Every step forward requires bowing inwardly. The heart that refuses to bow cannot pass certain thresholds. When you walk sincerely, even your prayers change. They become less about asking and more about listening, less about outcomes and more about alignment. You begin to trust that what reaches you is exactly what you need for your unfolding. This trust does not eliminate pain, but it gives pain meaning, and meaning transforms suffering into offering.
Rumi's path was ultimately the path of love. But love is discipline, not sentiment. Love that burns away illusions. Love that demands honesty. Love that refuses half measures. To step onto this path is to agree to be taught by life itself without guarantees of comfort. But the reward is intimacy with truth, and there is nothing greater. As you continue walking, you will notice that guidance often arrives quietly, not as thunder, but as a subtle shift in perception, a sentence that stays with you, a moment of clarity in ordinary life, a soft resistance to something that once felt attractive. These are signs that the path is responding. Pay attention. Gratitude sharpens perception. Rumi never told his listeners to worship him or follow him blindly. He pointed always beyond himself. His words are doors, not destinations. When he says the path reveals itself, he is inviting you into direct experience, not borrowed certainty. No one can walk for you, no one can believe for you, but you are not alone. Every sincere step places you among countless seekers who have walked before you. My friend, if this teaching resonates within you, do not let it remain as mere inspiration. Inspiration fades unless embodied. Take one step today, however small. Let remembrance enter one ordinary moment. Let patience interrupt one reaction. Let love guide one choice. This is how the path unfolds. If this journey speaks to your heart, stay with us. Subscribe to this channel, because on this path, you are not walking alone. And if you feel moved, write this sentence in the comments: I step forward and I trust the path. Let it be your intention made visible. Until we meet again, keep walking. The path is already beneath your feet.